Okay, so this is another in the series of Pioneer cassette decks from the late 1970s. This is, you can't easily tell without the cover on, this is a CT-F900. The CT-F900 was a three-head deck that was sold in the late 1970s. It could record on standard tapes, what at the time were called chromium dioxide tapes, CR02 tapes, and ferrochrome tapes. This particular deck has been tested with all the tape types that I can test with, and I'm going to take you through some things that I've done on the deck in addition to what had been done with the deck before it arrived. So to begin with, when this arrived in my shop, it came with a broken case top. It wasn't a wooden top case. It had been mostly recapped by somebody else, and they did a fairly good job, although they did make some mistakes with a couple of capacitors. I had to replace one in the power supply that was not correct. But overall, it was in pretty good electronic shape. However, I had to replace the display. I had to completely rework the tape transport mechanism. This didn't work at all. And as a matter of course, what I normally do with these, as I've said in my other videos, I always rebuild the rewind motor. And of course, I replace the tire, the rewind, fast forward, and take up real tire, and the two main belts that are running the system, and then I do a full tune-up on it. In this situation, both of these pinch rollers have been replaced, and I did find somebody who will turn new pinch rollers, so they're pinch rollers of the same, they're exactly the same spec as originally came on these. So I also always make sure that this height adjustment is correct. That's why this has a glued stop nut. And of course I always replace the stop nut because most of these, when you take them off, they lose their threading, so they're no good anymore. Of course, the azimuth has been adjusted, and that's why this is glued red. So now we'll take a tour of some of the functions, see how it works with some tapes next. Okay, here is the CT-F900 with its faceplate on. We're going to go ahead and put just a normal type 1 tape in to do some quick testing. You'll notice as soon as you put the tape in, there's a little sensor here. And when that sensor is pressed in by the tape, it will rewind to tension the tape. Right? So I'm going to go ahead and reset the count. Well, this counter's at 0 now. I have the monitor on tape right now. I'm going to put it on source so that you can hear the source that's coming through. This just happens to be something from the YouTube library. And this is just coming in source. When we start recording, we're going to put it on tape, and what we'll hear, because it's a three-head deck, is as the tape is being recorded, then you'll be able to hear it just instantaneously after the recording. A couple of things, a couple of features here. We do have a bias fine adjustment. That works pretty well. If you turn it to the left, it tends to brighten. Turn it to the right, it tends to dull or make music a little warmer. We have Dolby. This is only a Dolby B system. They didn't have Dolby C in decks at this time in the late 1970s. This is an input. Either you have a mic input, which you can use, or you, if it's out, it's on line in. Then you have an output. Now the output actually does control what you see on the view meter. So I have the output turned all the way up at the moment. And then we'll talk about some of these settings after we've done some recording. So let me go ahead and start this. I'm going to put it on pause, get it ready to record, and I'm going to start this music over again, and we'll start recording. This is the source coming in. This is what's being recorded on the tape. Now I'm going to put Dolby on. See how that brightens up? It really brightens it up on this deck. And it really dulls it to the right. See how that sounds. That's where I brightened it. I brightened it with the bias adjustment. Sounds pretty good. Now what we're going to do is put a chrome tape in, try the same thing. So now we're going to record on a type 2 tape. This is a chromium dioxide tape. Notice that it automatically senses what kind of tape it is because of the notch in the back or the top of the tape. We're going to go ahead and record. So you'll hear nothing is coming through at the moment. I'm going to go ahead and reset the counter, and let me start this. Brightening it up. Warming it. Normal. Now we'll go ahead and play that back. Take Dolby out. hear how I brightened it and dulled it. Now, next we're going to try a ferrochrome tape, which are not very popular. Probably won't find a whole lot of those except for some used ones, occasionally some new ones on eBay. We'll try that one and see how that sounds. So that's a ferrochrome tape, FECR. Sony stopped making them in 1985. We're going to go ahead and, if you'll notice, FECR is not selected because it's on auto CR02. So we're now selecting FECR. I'm going to go ahead and start recording just to get some space put on the tape, get away from that, you know, that leader section of the tape that doesn't have anything, and then that first few feet of tape that usually is not the best part of the tape. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play the Vespers. What is this? I think it's Triumph on the Prairie. I'm going to play that one again for you. Okay, let's hear how that sounded. That should sound pretty much like, it's sort of, you know, the ferrochrome were chrome plus standard tapes. Where I brighten it up. So there you go. You've got three different types of tapes that you can record and play on this. Of course, it plays back standard tapes very nicely, and I'll go ahead and put one in and risk some YouTube copyright catching, but I'll try that on the next one. And here, for most people who are going to be buying these decks, it's either to play back cassettes that they have or maybe something that you've recorded on your own. This is a Roxette. This actually happens to have been recorded with Dolby HX Pro. This actually sounds very good on this deck. So I'm going to go ahead and play it with Dolby so that you can hear it. Now, YouTube will probably catch copyright, and I might have to blank out part of it. But let's go ahead and do it and see how much comes across for you to assess this with. take the Dolby out. Remarkably better than I remembered sounding with these pre-recorded tapes. Of course, toward the end of the cassette period where we had mainstream cassettes being made, they got a lot better with this XDR and headroom extension. I don't know if you can make out the stereo separation or not. This is being done in a garage, but for this part of the video, I'm going to go off tripod and show you a few things, review the serial number, and then I'll put the top on and let you see what that looks like before I list it. So as I said, the pinch rollers were replaced. You can see them there. They're in pretty good shape, brand new. The rewind motor was rebuilt. I take them apart and rebuild them. All of the electrolytic capacitors were replaced. The one that was on the power board way at the bottom there was wrong. Whoever had done this before, that was not the right value. I put in the correct value, but it's pretty good. They had done a pretty good job doing a recap on the unit. They had a couple of things that they had done. If you see those blue rheostats, they actually put just resistors in there. Each of those is for the equalization on the output, the playback. So I ended up putting in two that were in the correct range, and I've adjusted them properly. If for some reason when you get the deck you think it sounds too bright, that's what you can adjust on your own if you take the top off. But other than that, that's the inside. I'm not sure how well you can see it. I'm going to try to zoom in on it. You'll see that it ends in, I think it's 5580. And I put this up on the listing. I always put a tag. This tag can just be taken off. This tells you what was done to the unit, and I usually put a QA passed tag, which I'll do as well on the back. So the next is going to be with the case top on for you to see it as it's going to ship. Okay, here's the unit with the case top put on. The original case top was wooden and broke. Actually came to me in pieces. And so I had another case top that was metal. This one was really bad. This was scratched down to the metal. So what I did was I stripped it completely, painted it, and it looks pretty good now. Again, this unit, I'm going to do some video that you don't normally see, just so that you can see, you know, even from the underside, it looks pretty good, right? And one of the things you'll find with these decks is the corners are usually dinged up really badly, and these are not. These are in pretty good shape. The mechanism control assembly is usually pretty scratched up. This is pretty good. I polish all of the chrome. All the chrome comes off, and then I polish it. So that's, you know, I do the best I can. A lot of this, you know, this is plastic that's been chrome plated. So I do the best I can. They look better than they did before I cleaned them up, but you know, it's as close as I could get to new. On the back of the unit, we'll take a quick look. I did go ahead and put a QA tag on it. Again, this is the 5580 unit. As I said, those tags can just be peeled off, but it's important that you see what I did on the QA checklist. Take a note of that. It's also in the listing to make sure that the unit is functional and is working. This unit will go up on eBay shortly as soon as I've got the listing details up, and the video posted. So I look forward to folks asking questions. Thank you.